This is the disclaimer for Wildlife Control Consultant and Pest Geek Podcast with Living the Wildlife Podcast. Always follow national, state, provincial, and local laws when using pesticides and or other control methods to manage pests. Wildlife Control Consultant, LLC, Pest Geek Podcast, Living the Wildlife Podcast, Stephen M. Vantassel, or their or his affiliates are not responsible for followers' use of the information provided here. Hi, everyone. Stephen Vantassel here, Wildlife Control Consultant, bringing you another episode of Living the Wildlife Podcast as part of the Pest Geek Podcast family. Glad to have you on board. And today we have some guests. Oh, but before I bring them on board, let me mention a couple things. Of course, we want you to subscribe to our channel, of course. Join us on Facebook. Make sure you're with our group, the Pest Geek Podcast group. Join us there with hundreds of other pest control professionals. Be glad to have you on board. And take a few moments, if you would, and let me know what kind of shows you want to see on Living the Wildlife Podcast. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about what I'm interested in. So far, that seems to be successful, but maybe you have a particular issue you'd like to have research that you just simply don't have the time to do that. How do you get a hold of me? Wildlife Control Consultant at gmail.com, Wildlife Control Consultant at gmail.com. So today we have some special guests. Let me kind of give you their names. Mike Martin, wave to our audience there, Mike. Okay, and then we have C.Gotlibowski, and they're both partners in Pest Products LLC out of Chardon, Ohio. I hope I got that right. Is that right, Chardon? And then they have a website called pestwildlifeproducts.com. We're going to talk about one of the products they're bringing to the market here. This is exciting times. I'm an old timer. Back in the 80s when I was doing some wildlife control into the 90s, we didn't have all the toys that we have today. So this is exciting when we have more equipment that make things more efficient for you out into the field, make you safer, make you more efficient, and just get rid of the headaches of wildlife control that sometimes you have. I envy you bug guys. You just squirt, and walk away. Us wildlife guys, our trucks are up to the brim with all kinds of equipment. We don't have the neat trucks that we have a little B&G in the corner like you pest control guys. So I know I still got baggage here, but anyways, we're glad to have you both on board. Welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast family today.
Yeah, thank you.
So one of the things we'd like to have is, why don't we start with how both of you, your both stories, how you got into pest control and then wildlife control. Tell us a little about your journey.
Well, I got into it about 5 years ago into actual commercial wildlife trapping. So I did animal removal only for about 2 or 3 years. And I left that and joined Chad here, who started a company focusing on bugs, which is the green part of our business. So we own Go Green Pest Control also. So we do bugs and wildlife. So we decided to join and do bugs and animals. So we can do anything from an ant to a coyote.
Nice.
And we work good together. So that's kind of how we got joined together now. So we've been doing the pest control together for a couple of years now. And this is just something that we came up with to help us out. We have a few different prototypes that we made, which worked just fine, and we decided to go a more professional approach. So that's how we came up with our box here.
Sure. So do you have a name for the box?
Yep. So this here. So we named the. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's a
Pest Products.
Yep, Pest Products. It's a quick catch. We named it the XL for the large version.
Okay. So the Quick Catch XL.
Yep. So we have a hole on the side here.
Well, yeah, you want to show them what we came from, what we started with.
Yeah, let's put this back.
All right.
So like Mike said, we started coming up with different homemade designs because of all the the different line of work that we're in, because like Mike said, we do wildlife and we do pest control.
Sure.
Obviously, you already said it yourself when you opened the show that wildlife is a little bit more difficult than
okay.
Yep, so something used and abused.
So those are rat-sized traps?
Yep, these are T-Rex rat traps.
T-Rex.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have them screwed down.
All right. So you developed, so you have this. And so what made you make these boxes? Just to make it easier to trap rats? Are you trapping trapping reds, flyers with them? What's your chipmunks?
So, I mean, we're trapping everything that you just said with them.
Okay.
I would say the main thing that came up with the box for us was, I was used to going to people's houses for pest control where we were spraying, and I would walk around the foundation of a house and I would see rat traps that are just like that laying next to the foundation. And I would, ask the homeowner before I leave, what's going on with the rat traps all placed in on the foundation? Oh, they're catching the chipmunks.
Okay.
So we decided, why don't we encapsulate the traps in a box and do it more professionally than just, a guy's dog running around the neighborhood with a rat trap on his tail.
Right.
So that's how that all came about. But it's working for everything that you said, from the rats to flyers, mice. I mean, everything will go in a box with bait. So
have you noticed any? So obviously, your product is lockable. The fact that you have a plastic, looks like pretty durable plastic. Can you stand on it? I mean, that's kind of an aggressive way of talking about its sturdiness, of course, but it looks like you can stand on it.
Yeah. So I mean, not that you can see it, but I'll stand on it.
It's called Roto Molded.
Roto Molded. Okay.
Same way as kayaks are made, and
okay.
All of your like high-end cooler lines. Like
very nice. Lockable.
Yep. So that's the lockable portion there.
Very nice.
The lock hole there.
Beautiful.
So if you needed to lock it, we will, if there's children around or pets or animals. So the T-Rex traps we have mounted there, you can see the bolts.
Yeah, and I see you have a pre-drilled hole. Is that for staking?
Yep, so you can stake it. We stake them if you need to screw to a roof or a rafter in an attic. And if water were to get into it, it can drain out of there.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
We generally don't have any issues with water unless obviously it floods or something. But
sure.
Just
very
as far
nice.
as that goes, they're stackable. They all have feet on them.
Uh-huh.
And then the nuts here you can take off and replace traps if they break, or you can also put in your own style, rat trap. They'll hold a Victor trap. They'll hold a snappy rat. They'll hold really any style of rat trap. The inside hole is 4 1/4 by 7 inches.
Okay.
So you can put an actual Victor wooden trap in if you wanted to.
Nice.
They do work well, but what we found is that the T-Rex work best with the dividers. It forces the animal to go straight in, and I would say, greater than 90%, you get a head catch almost every time.
Right. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I like the Victor traps. I mean, they're certainly cost efficient. The problem is when you're looking at, disease issues and convenience, the clamshell style is so much easier to handle. Yep. But you pay the price for them, to be sure, rather than having to get all personal with the animal you just whacked.
They're really easy to set. If you have to unset them, you have to be a little careful, but for the most part, they're pretty touch free. And they are, they're washable as well. Most scenarios you don't want to wash them, but for chipmunks, it doesn't matter. I mean, we set brand new ones and we catch chipmunks within an hour.
Right.
So more, the rats and whatnot, we have good luck with the rats after we've caught a bunch of chipmunks in them.
Interesting.
So they work pretty well.
So would you recommend applicators who are using these devices to record what they're catching, and perhaps have, if they're catching rats in one, to have that as a rat box for future jobs, or does it matter?
I haven't gone as far as that type of scenario.
Okay.
If I were to set up a new rat job, a clean out, if there's a building that's just infested, we'll set a bunch of these around just to kind of get the process started. I'll grab the dirty ones first. The new ones almost always go out only on chipmunk jobs. Like I said, we don't wash them unless they get, they can get pretty nasty. So we do wash them occasionally. And I'm sure if you've checked traps, sometimes they get pretty dirty. So
I think it's a dirty business.
We wash them if we need to, but for the most part, we leave them alone. like I said, if a trap malfunctions, we just unscrew it, put a new one in, and they're making money all year.
So you're anchoring, so you're actually screwing them in place rather than just leaving them loose.
On the outside of a foundation, no, we'll just set them down and they're good. We'll put them against the foundation of a building.
Yeah.
A good example, the last time I used this for red squirrels, we had a cedar shaker roof. And there was a soffit they were going in and out of. So I used that hole, just one screw and a washer, and I mounted it right up near the soffit.
Yep.
To kind of complement our positive set. And we caught a few red squirrels just trying to get back in, before they were able to chew a new hole.
And but what about the traps? You don't just place, because I noticed you had a little ridge there. I'm sure that helps keep water out as well. But you screw the traps into the device rather than just leaving them loose.
Yes.
And so why is that? Yeah, and why is that?
So it makes whoever's going out and setting the jobs up, so the operator, it makes their job much easier if they're already screwed down. So a lot of our guys that go out, they pre-bait them all here at the shop before they leave. Yeah. When they get to the job, knock on the door, talk to the customer, show them what we're placing down, let them know that not to touch them, and we're going to check them. They literally then could just take the boxes out of the truck, typically three high or stacked.
Okay.
And, and then when they place them, they just have to do that.
Nice.
And they're ready to go. So imagine if these traps were all loose in here.
I gotcha. They're bouncing around. Yeah.
If someone's animal came by, like a dog, and hit the box, these could slide forward and fall down in here, and then maybe a chipmunk could get behind the trap then. And so if they're fixed, you get better results.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes sense, because I was thinking about, in terms of screwing them down, but again, that makes more sense. So your process, you go out with baited traps right away? Do you ever just bait them and not set them to try to condition some animals, or you're looking to get a kill straight away?
Yeah, I mean, for a rat job, we'll pre-bait. You almost need to. Yeah. For chipmunks, I mean, we almost always catch the first day we set them. So they're real easy just to go right in, and we'll usually sprinkle some birdseed around just to kind of entice them in the immediate area, and then we'll bait the actual cup of the trap, and they almost always go in there immediately.
They really don't care about their buddy that's laying next to them.
Yeah.
And same way with rats, you haven't seen any type of fear or resistance when they're seeing other carcasses in there?
No, I mean, we've caught a few rats in one, and right next to the rat will be a mouse. You will catch mice, shrews, smaller rodents. We've caught voles in them. We're not necessarily targeting them, but you no doubt will catch them. But as far as the rats, I've caught multiples in the traps, on many occasions. Usually in the higher populated jobs, we'll use these to kind of get, like I said, the process started. Obviously, most people know exclusion is the best for rats.
Sure. Yeah.
Depending on the scenario.
Certainly. Now, do you have a mouse trap version, or is it just the rat version?
So at the moment, just a rat version.
Okay.
So, we are working on products for the future. So when those become available, we will definitely contact you.
We are working.
Well, that would be great. I'd love to see it. So do you offer, because you've gone through this development process, are you looking for, because our audience, what I find is wildlife control operators are a pretty creative bunch. They are always thinking about new techniques and tools to create. The problem is getting those ideas from up here into a product right in front of them. So is your company open to helping people with that manufacturing process? Because obviously you went through all the work of getting this, it wasn't extruded, you called it roto molded. So I learned a new word today, roto mold. I'm usually it's extruded plastic, right? But when we talk about bait stations, but yours is roto molded. And are you open to working with other people to get new products and just become sort of the manufacturer of a variety of other things, and then use not a franchise, but a royalty type basis?
Absolutely. I would
Okay.
never turn any opportunity down to develop more and continue to grow. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, talk a little about the roto molded. I think most of our audience are familiar with how the typical rat station is built. It's often thinner plastic, of course, and I think it's just extruded plastic molds, right? And that they normally just funnel the plastic into a mold and then they create it. But yours is so much more durable, it looks like to me. I mean, you can't stand on too many bait stations out there, at least you probably
Yeah,
shouldn't do it. You probably want it, unless you get a steel one, maybe, at least not with my weight. I don't think you want me standing on one. But so what's the difference between the roto molded and the extruded plastic?
Roto molding. So roto molding is a process. So it's still fine ground up pieces of plastic. It's like a powder. Put into a dye. It's injected into a dye, and then it rolls around in furnaces as it heats the entire aluminum, dye that is what that comes out of. And the reason why that process is different is because of, one, how it's done. Two, the material that's used is more of a soft plastic, and it's pliable, so it doesn't crack. So that's why for kayaks, it's a good roto molding. They use that method and the type of substrate, I guess, material to make it, is because kayaks bump into rocks. They get thrown out of the back of a pickup truck. You can't have one get cracked, because then you sink. So same thing with like I said, the cooler, the high-end cooler market. They used them because they're all bear proof. They all have a bear tag that you could go camping, and if a bear gets your cooler, he's not going to get in. If they made it out of plastic mold injection, like what you're referring to, it's a very brittle plastic by the process of how it's done.
Sure.
So that's why you see the rodent stations cracking in half and stuff like that. So this, you could probably bend it. I mean, if you were able to bend it, you could probably bend it pretty far. And I don't think it would ever crack. Actually, I think it would stretch.
Interesting. So is it UV stabilized as well? Is it UV stabilized as well?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just taking some notes here. UV stabilized as well. And so is there a warranty on the product? How long it's going to last?
Not necessarily a warranty, because I can't, the traps that are inside obviously exist, the T-Rex traps. I mean, if somebody dry fires those traps off a couple times, they break. Everybody, listening knows that they break.
Sure.
So there's no way to warranty that. And the box, I don't know. We've thought about it, but I don't know what I would warranty on the box. Is it going to break? No. But if one of the guys are mad one day working and decide to slam the latch real hard and rip it off, I mean,
definitely possible. But I mean, I do think they'll last, most people's lifetime. I mean, they're pretty durable. It's almost until you get it in your hands, you can't tell, the actual quality of it.
Oh, it looks sturdy. It looks sturdy from the picture. I'm looking at it because you're looking at the material of a cooler, and that's, those things just are, they get beat up, thrown in the back of pickup trucks and all kinds of stuff. So no, it definitely looked sturdy without a doubt, just looking at it.
That's what we were after when we were designing them, because I mean, Mike and I are out in the field too, so we know what it's like when you're busy and you're picking stuff up or setting stuff up, and things are getting slammed around the back of the pickup truck or back of the van. And we knew if we were going to design something, it had to be built to last. So I think we achieved it.
Yep.
And how about, is it possible for a company to get them personalized?
Yes.
Is that something as well that happens, personalized?
So we did make a spot on the top there.
Okay, I gotcha. So for a sticker, someone could put a sticker on it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Logo there.
Nice. Okay.
Most states do require that they are tagged, so that would kind of be a 2-for-1 there. You could get your company logo and as well as the information needed for the Division of Wildlife. I did want to mention too, this is a trap. This is not like a rodent station.
For toxicant, right? For traps only.
Just to make that
So we don't want to mix them up.
Yeah, so this
Right.
isn't something that you're going to leave in somebody's house for a year. If they want to buy it from you, absolutely. But we do, mainly week trapping programs, sometimes 2 weeks. If we do an exclusion on a home, we'll throw a few in their attic to kind of help with our positive sets, especially in flying squirrels, because there could be quite a few.
Right.
So it's a tool, just like a raccoon trap. It's exactly that. It's a trap.
Right. So no, I think there's a lot of, is there any, let me just put it this way. I would certainly encourage your company to think about a version down the road of where people would be able to use traps and then have a bait station portion in the middle, because one of the things I like about what you have there is it seems that if you had a middle column for, let's say, some rodenticide, it would be too far for a raccoon to reach in, because I've heard stories of the bait stations that are out there now, and I don't know what brands people were referring to, but they're saying they've had situations where raccoons were reaching in and grabbing the block bait and pulling it out because there just wasn't a long enough elbow. Normally they're a 90-degree turn, right?
Yep.
And they're just not long enough, and the raccoon's still able to reach in there and grab this toxic, and it's like, oh, this is bad. This is not good. So, and one thing that I've been begging manufacturers to do this for some time, and that is have a sliding door that allows it to be converted from rat to mouse in just sliding a door, or some sort of an add-on clip or something. I think that was an idea from
A reducer,
or some sort of an automatic reducer, because I put this on a blog, so it's not like this is a secret or something. My concern is that as much you probably are familiar with California has sort of banned uses of second gens except for certain situations. That attitude's continuing is going to continue across the country. How California goes, the rest of the country goes. It may be a while, but it's happening. It'll happen. Is that, in fairness, sometimes we as professionals haven't been good enough stewards. We haven't done easy things that we could do to reduce rodenticides from getting out to non-targets. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, we would know that's the case. And I think a simple way would be to have, because I've seen too many guys use rat stations when they know they're only controlling mice. And they do it because I guess the rat stations are more durable than the mouse stations. That makes sense. You don't, because dogs are, as you said, attacking stuff. But wouldn't it be cool if we just had a way to make it easy to tamp that hole down to maybe 1.5 inches rather than having the 2.5 inches, so squirrels aren't getting in there and chipmunks aren't getting in there when you're just trying to kill mice? Then let's just kill mice. But anyways, I digress. My little sermon for today. But certainly I think it's awesome that we have a new product out there. So let's talk about bait. Do you have any recommendations of bait for people who are using this device?
So for chipmunks, birdseed seems to be our go-to for chipmunks. So we usually birdseed, kind of just on the inside there in that bottom pan.
Mixed seed or any like sunflower seeds or anything?
Yep,
particular?
Sunflower seeds, mixed seed. It doesn't really seem to matter what type. Okay. I've used straight, like deer corn, and that works well.
Each of our guys have their own mixture.
Yep.
Oh, okay, right. That's right. It's because it's like alchemy, isn't it? Everyone has their own little thing. Gotcha. Okay.
They have a competition between themselves of who catches more. So
gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Some guys like just straight peanut butter, and that works as well. But I tend to stick with the bird seed, and then I'll sprinkle some in the traps as well. And they almost always will fill their cheeks up and then go right into the trap. And
no issue with birds. That's one thing about, I'm always nervous about the bird seed, because I would agree with you. I think it would be a great bait. I'm just always worried about a bird getting in there and then
I have not caught a bird yet. The only odd thing we've caught was an actual weasel.
Yeah.
And luckily he was just caught by the foot, so we let him go.
Cool. Weasels are our friends.
Yep.
Okay.
So we let him go.
Excellent. So you like the T-Rex, but it can handle any type of snap trap for rats that you found, right? So T-Rex and what are some of the other ones out there?
Snappy wrap,
Snappy.
the Victor wooden traps. There's the what's the green logo? The Jaws.
Jaws. Okay.
Jaws. Yep, those will fit. So you may have to adjust the holes a little bit, but the hardware will fit, most of them. You could, if you wanted to, just set them in, blank, but we definitely recommend mounting them.
Right.
But we do sell the boxes currently with that trap in them.
Okay.
So if someone wants to order the boxes without that trap, then absolutely we do that as well. Okay.
So they all get 4, and there's 4 to a box. Is that correct? Is it 4 to a box? Okay. And so they can buy it without the traps inside. So let's talk about pricing. We haven't mentioned that at all. How do they order this? If they want to say, look, I want to try it out. Why would people get a hold of you?
So we have our email, which is contact@pestwildlifeproducts.com. They could also go to the website, which is pestwildlifeproducts.com, and order through there. Or they could give us a call and just place an order over the phone. Best number for that currently would be 440-488-8071.
Okay.
So as far as pricing on the traps, so individually with the traps that are mounted in it currently, $139.99 is the price for that. And that's including shipping. So that's shipped.
Okay. Shipped. Okay.
Yep, right to your door. We can do a discount if somebody would want a pallet of them, which would be 24 units.
24 units. Okay.
Yep. And the price for that, we can do 120 each if they order a pallet of them. And that's also shipped. And then if somebody is wanting them without traps, we can sell them for 105 shipped. So that's just blank. That'll include the mounting hardware and the box, just no traps.
No traps. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So they save a little bit of money if they go with their own equipment.
Yep. I know some people have their own personal preferences of traps. We found these to work best, but obviously everyone can make that decision for themselves.
Sure, without a doubt. So that's pretty neat. And so you're looking at creating some. So what got you into getting into manufacturing? It's a tough field. A lot of so what got you interested in getting into manufacturing?
So we had the idea just because we were making all of the rodent boxes, and this the box itself, definitely not our idea. I know people have made their own versions of rodent boxes,
right?
Of ammo cans or tool boxes. We were more concerned with these boxes always worked, but they don't necessarily look very professional when you set a bunch of plywood boxes around somebody's home. So we were gearing more towards the professional look. And Chad here has the contacts for the manufacturing, so I'll let him kind of give you his background on that. And he's the brains behind the actual product being made.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, we're able to do this kind of stuff and design stuff. My background is manufacturing. So before I was doing anything pest related, other than recreational for myself and for fun, like hunting and trapping and stuff like that, my whole life I worked in manufacturing. So that's, I guess, so people say, yeah, it's very hard to do, like you just said, but I guess when you worked in it for a very, very long time, it's not so hard anymore. So
you were involved in manufacturing. So how did you get out of that? Was that because of the Rust Belt occurring when all the businesses were leaving the U.S.? You had to have a career change, or did you just get sick of it, or what got you into pest control?
I guess I got burned out on it. That's a good way of putting it. But I'm involved in another business, which is a distribution company. We just distribute a lot of different products, and one of them was pest related stuff. And I saw a huge need for good pest control companies.
Right.
And,
right.
That's kind of what got me into it. And obviously, like Mike said, Mike's the brains behind, I guess, all of the the trapping and exclusion, and I learned a lot from him and that stuff. So yeah,
It's just
kind of it.
just amazing. So your device will catch rats. So you've caught right now. You've caught Norway rats, I would assume, but you don't have roof rats out there where you're at, right?
Nope. There's no roof rats. We're in northern Ohio, so we're
Okay.
up by Lake Erie, by Cleveland. So yeah, rats.
Norways. You've got chipmunks, flying
Monks.
squirrels. That would be the northern flying squirrel, I think you have out there.
Yep, the northern flying squirrel, and I know in some states they are protected. In Ohio,
That's
they're not.
correct.
In
Right.
Ohio, so we can no doubt trap them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because we are national. Of course, everyone always follow your state regulations. We have to sort of say that, but we're trusting that because there are situations where flying squirrels do require a permit to control.
Yep. Or
to be
only
sure.
exclusion where they have to use the one-way door. So
One-way doors. That's correct. So, and I would. Just my own personal, I don't have a lot of experience with red squirrels when I was in business, but I had one that punished me badly. My recommendation for red squirrels, I wasn't using one-way doors at the time, like you guys were. That's how old I am. But I would definitely recommend, if you're not doing one-way doors, pre-bait first. Make sure you have enough traps, because you don't want to educate them, because I was using traps, man. It took me almost a month to catch the last one. It was brutal. I lost my shirt in that job. So, because I was charging by the animal.
Yeah.
So it was.
We found a lot of entries too for red squirrels. Usually the main entries, if you can't find it, above your head, it's definitely down on ground level
That's
somewhere.
right. Yes, they will come in at lower levels. Yes.
So the boxes come in handy more than just on the roof for them.
Absolutely. No, without a doubt. So in terms of baiting, you like the bird seed. It could be mixed. It can be sunflower seeds, peanut butter, of course. Do you use anything liquid? Because doesn't the rat trap that you're using now, doesn't it have a little a tube place for the bait? Do you have anything liquid?
It does have a little cup. So usually we'll put the peanut butter in that cup if we're going to use that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I've used berry paste. I've used rodent paste. The problem with that is after a week or so, it'll dry and it'll actually stick the pedal of the trap. So it actually makes the trap almost unfunctionable or unusable. Sorry, wrong
Right.
word. So we stayed away from the paste. They no doubt work, but the bird seed is very easy. You can just turn the trap upside down and dump out any seeds that may be in the way.
Right. So I like that, because that way you're not, plus you don't have to worry about it drying out per se, because it's already pretty dry anyways.
Yep.
Insects, you have insect issues? Because it sounds like are you checking those boxes does your state require them to be checked every day?
Yep.
Or can you leave them for a while and,
we do check them every day. So they, just like I said, it is a trap. So we still check every 24 hours.
Okay.
It may be different in other states, but other than a chipmunk that got caught in the morning and was baking in the sun all day, and then we're there the very next morning, there's really no issues with any sort of bugs. Nothing that you wouldn't get in a normal trap.
Normal trap.
Yep. I mean.
Okay. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the locking mechanism. I'm in Montana. Other people are in other colder states. Like you're in the cold northern Ohio. You get some snow, probably some lake effect stuff coming off of Lake Erie, I would think. Do you have a particular lock that you found works well in rainy, wet conditions where there's possibility of freezing? And so the last thing you want to do is show up and you can't get the lock undone because it's all frozen up.
Quite honestly, the lock that we're using is something no different than you would find on someone that would put a lock on like a suitcase on the zippers, a rolling suitcase.
Oh, okay.
And cheap ones.
And the reason for that is it's for a child to come up there and tamper with it and not be able to get in. And if an adult wants to take a pliers and rip the lock off and take a look in there, I mean, so be it.
Right.
We lock them for just knowing that, little kids run around the yard and one could be sitting there. We just don't want their hands to get caught in the trap.
Sure. But do you have, so those traps have been, so those locks that you have for luggage or something, do you like the combination or the key?
The key.
You like the key better. Okay.
Because all the keys are typically the same when you buy a big pack of them.
Okay.
So everyone has that key on their ignition key for their vehicles then.
Oh, very
on the
nice.
ring.
Okay.
So, if they get a job dropped on them to check them and it wasn't necessarily their job, they have the key always with them.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing here on the device. Can't think of anything at the moment. So any final comments, words about your product?
We didn't, I guess, cover is those. So the hole size, we messed around with quite a few different hole sizes. I think this is 3 inch. I think that's 1.5. We ended up kind of standardizing.
Yeah.
See that?
See that? Oh yeah. Yep.
So it looks pretty big on the screen, but it's actually only 2.5 inches. So enticing, it seems like for the chipmunks and the red squirrels. And it's small enough to keep rabbits and possums and bigger things out.
Sure.
So I think that's the only thing we didn't cover. So yeah, we messed around with different types of holes, and
we even had square holes.
Yep, we even had square one.
And how many years of development were you looking at before you finally came up with your final design? I think it's important for the audience to realize just how much let's call it mental energy had to go into the development of the process.
2 years.
Yep, 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
And just the mold for that, we came up with the idea. I'd say it was about 6 months before we even had a drawing of what it might look like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting now that we finally have it. So like I said, once you have it in your hands, I think you'll appreciate.
It took a lot. People don't realize this. Just sort of when you're designing something like this, down to the stackable, feet here, so each box could sit on each other in someone's vehicle. How we were going to design the handles, whether they were going to be ropes or integrated into the molding, how the hinge was going to work.
Yeah.
Whether we were going to use like a metal rod for a hinge, or like this one, this is all plastic, and the plastic snaps in. So once the lid's in, it can't come out.
Right.
If it does come out, that means they broke it. Weight reduction, that we did on the bottom here, the step for when water got in there, that it wouldn't saturate the traps. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's pretty simple. Traps in a box, absolutely. Right. But if I were to take somebody else and say, give me traps in a box, they gave us a wood box with traps in it, and it works, but this works so much better.
Yeah, no, I love the fact you highlighted some of those features, because I would think some of our audience is going to say, "Oh, just build a box." Well, this is more than just a box, and so it has water shedding capability. Of course, you can stand on it. It certainly does look more professional. It's going to be easier to clean, which I think is going to be important, because some of us are in hantavirus areas. For those if you're doing smaller rodents, to be sure. And I do think at times you do need to have a way to clean stuff out. It's certainly durable. You can stand on it, the lockable nature of it.
Yep, self-branding. People can put their names on.
No, I think there's some really neat things with it there. It's quite nice.
We did have some feedback just on the location of the latch. So obviously, if Chad was a building here, I would put it up against the building.
Yeah.
So no doubt the latch is against the building. Reason for that is we originally designed it over here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you open it, the angle to set the traps, it just didn't work for an average user. I could set them, but we ended up changing it. The angle to set the traps with the latch on this side is just much better. Like I said, once you have it in your hands, you can kind of actually see what we're talking about. But
yeah,
that's the reason for the for the latch placement.
And for tamper wise, when they're staked down to the ground, and the kids walk up to them in their yard, the latch isn't in front of their face. It's not something they could, pull on and mess with right away. So,
or you could use an earth anchor with it just as easily, I would think, right?
Yeah. And then nobody's getting it out.
Yeah, so if you are going to stake them, against a building, we generally only have to leave them about an inch off the building, and you're able to clip the latch right back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and so you just have to give another, but I think in some ways that would give another way of people not fussing with the lock, because you might have a kid who's like, oh, I never want to underestimate the creativity of people for doing stupid stuff, right? Yep. So it's just always, and with our legal system, it's all, we're always the responsible person is always wrong, right? It's never the idiot who is doing something they shouldn't have been doing to begin with. It's always the responsible person or the person with money who does something wrong. Yeah, not that I'm bitter. But anyways, we just want to put that out there. Just be careful out there, everyone. So you want to be sure you're in business, right? So it means you're a target for lawsuits just because someone thinks you're rich. Anything else that you'd want to make sure we highlight before we wrap this up?
I think that about covers it. We're definitely open if someone's unsure of how to make money with them, they can definitely call me and we'll make sure that they at least have an understanding of how we do it.
Sure. Well, you can certainly mention that now if you wish. What in terms of pricing, how would you bill for this?
Right now our pricing for a week trapping, if I was to get a phone call for chipmunks, we charge $4.99.
$4.99.
That's for a week of trapping. We go out and check them every day. So generally a standard house will put 3 of those boxes out.
Okay.
So that's plenty of traps for a standard population of chipmunks.
Right.
We do explain that we catch the local population around the house. Obviously more could move in at any time, so as long as they're on the same terms as you, then it generally goes well. So set the traps on day 1, and on day 7 we pull them, charge the card, and generally whatever whether there's 10 or 30, we pretty much have them under control within about a week.
Yeah.
And if we do get a call back, they're never mad about having to pay another week trapping program. Because like
they knew it up front.
Yep. Because I always, Mike and I always, say to each other, they called us. I'm not the one with the chipmunk problem. So we just offer our service and we have really good luck with it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention that you folks you're visiting every single day. So that's seven trips. Right? So that's a fair amount of time. So some states like here in Montana, we don't have chipmunks per se, but we have similar type squirrels. There's no requirement to check the traps every day. So but still in that case, you could go maybe 2 weeks for the same amount of price and the same number of visits, right? So that would be.
I want to add more boxes then, so there's more traps.
Absolutely, yeah.
When you catch them, you don't run out of room.
So I've often told people, I'd say, estimate how many chipmunks have you seen. I want your feedback on this. So I tell them, I said, look out your back window. How many chipmunks have you seen at once? And then I tell them, then I multiply that by 3. And that's kind of the number that I would be looking for. Does that work with your experience, or do you have a different metric, that rule of thumb that you use?
I've never done it that way, but talking to customers on the phone, they always have hundreds.
Yeah.
We know they're lying about that, right? But that's why I asked, how many have you seen at one time? So if they say 3, then I'll all right, we're probably looking at 9. Then is what I'd be looking to catch, is what my estimate. But
usually once we're there and kind of assess the situation, like I said, as long as you explain to them, what you're expecting the results to be, as long as you come somewhere near that area, it seems to be a good relationship once we're done.
Sure.
And we do have also, every once in a while, once we're done, the people like them so much they want to buy one, which absolutely we'll sell them a box. A do-it-yourselfer is always going to be a do-it-yourselfer. So
we actually sold 10 of them to a farm that we were
nice
trapping at.
Yes.
So they paid us for 2 weeks in a livestock farm.
Yeah.
And the manager of the horse farm decided to buy 10 of them and just keep doing it himself.
Excellent. So do you have a recommended retail price for that?
I mean, we just gave them the same price that someone else could buy them for.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
They already paid for
They already
the
paid
trapping,
for
so
trapping.
you no doubt could probably double your money on them if you wanted to, because obviously you can't break even. We're able to just because we make them.
Right. You're the manufacturer.
But I would say a normal wildlife control operator could definitely make money on them if they wanted to do an after sell. Like I said, and that's not always just when you kind of have a do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah, and I was just giving you a scenario that this is a very good customer of ours, so there was no reason to do anything different, because when they are online, you could just jump on there and buy them. We were more or less, I mean, keeping a long-term customer.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Any decision on making different colors? Is that coming down the pike by any chance?
We can at any time do that. Obviously, there's going to be a minimum for that on how many we would make, and I would like other people to say if they want other colors, because if we get a whole bunch of people that are interested and say they want them to be yellow, then we could put together orders and say, well, we'll order 100 of them and we'll get yellow ones because there's 70 of them sold. But if people call in and they want red ones and they only want 5, I mean,
it's not.
I don't even think that would be reasonable to set up and start making 5 red ones, but any color. So I'd like to see feedback on that, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. So let me highlight your names again here. So we have Mike Martin and C.Gotlibowski. We're partners of the Pest Products LLC. Their website is pestwildlifeproducts.com, and they have basically a rat trapping box on steroids. So definitely check out their website. That's pestwildlifeproducts.com. And I think you'll find some features on there that definitely go beyond the wooden box with some slats in it. So definitely check that out. And we're really glad you both came on the show. So we're going to be wrapping it up here, but I hope you come back as you come up with new products. Definitely, I hope you reach out to the Living the Wildlife podcast. We'd love to have you back on the show and talk about some of the new ideas you're bringing to market.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Again, my name is Stephen Vantassel. This is Living the Wildlife podcast. Again, take a few moments, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you drop me a line. Tell me how I'm doing. Even if I'm doing something wrong, you can reach me at wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Be glad to hear from you. If you have ideas for the shows you'd like to have, definitely like to hear that. Or if you have a product or service that you'd like to get out to a wider audience, definitely reach out to me again. Just in fairness, I want to make sure everyone knows this. I'm not making any money on this today. They haven't sent me any swag. So this is just something I think people sometimes think I require that to be on the show. We don't require that on the show. So I would love to hear from you, of course. And again, this is Living the Wildlife. Why? Because we want you to live the wildlife, not be the wildlife. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.